The grand chamber was silent. 12 alien species sat in their tall seats, looking down at the small human woman who stood alone in the center of the room. Her name was Una Park. She was the last human ambassador to the Galactic Council. For 300 years, humans had lived among the stars. They had worked on alien ships. They had built alien cities. They had healed alien sick and taught alien children. And for 300 years, they had been treated like dirt beneath alien feet. Una remembered her first day on the council station. A Valari official had looked at her and laughed. "Another human," he had said. "Try not to break anything with your clumsy hands." She had smiled and said nothing. That was what humans did. They smiled. They worked. They stayed quiet, but not anymore. "The Human Federation has made its decision," Una said. Her voice was calm and steady. "We are leaving council space. All humans will return to Earth within 6 months. This is not a request. This is a fact." Prime Orin, the leader of the Valari delegation, leaned forward in his chair. He had 4 mouths, and all of them were smiling. "Ambassador Park, this is very sudden. Perhaps we should discuss this matter further." "There is nothing to discuss," Una replied. "We have discussed enough. For 300 years, we have asked for respect. For 300 years, we have received none. We are done asking." A low murmur spread through the chamber. The Dreth Collective's Admiral Lythe, a massive creature with scales like black metal, made a sound that might have been a laugh. "The humans are upset," she said. "How amusing. What will they do without us? They are barely more than animals." Una looked at her. She did not show anger. She did not show pain. She showed nothing at all. "You will find out," she said simply. "And so will we." She turned and walked out of the chamber. Behind her, the aliens began to talk among themselves. Some were worried. Most were happy. The humans were finally leaving. Good riddance. Far away, in the dark space near the nebula rim, Captain Tae Kim received the message on his ship, the Horizon's Edge. He read it twice to make sure he understood. "All human personnel are ordered to return to Earth. No exceptions. Leave everything behind. Come home." Tae sat back in his chair and closed his eyes. He had served in council space for 20 years. He had fought pirates. He had rescued stranded ships. He had saved thousands of alien lives. And not once had anyone said thank you. His navigation officer, Sora Lee, walked onto the bridge. She was young, barely 30 years old, with sharp eyes and quick hands. "Captain, is it true? We are really going home?" "It is true," Tae said. "Call the crew. We leave in 1 hour." Sora nodded and left. Tae looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, alien commanders were probably celebrating. The troublesome humans were finally gone. They could do whatever they wanted now. Tae smiled. It was not a happy smile. In the engine room of the Horizon's Edge, Chief Engineer Wuhan was already packing his tools. He was a big man with rough hands and a gentle heart. He had spent 15 years fixing council ships, stations, and systems. He knew every wire, every circuit, every piece of code. His assistant, young Valari named Keth, watched him with confusion. Why are you leaving? Who will maintain the power grid on Station 7? Wu shrugged. Someone else. Not my problem anymore. But the grid is very old. It needs constant care. Without you, without me, you will have to figure it out. Wu zipped his bag closed. I taught you everything I know, Keth. I hope you were paying attention. Keth's 4 eyes went wide. But I do not remember everything. There are so many systems. So many small details. Wu put his hand on the young alien's shoulder. Then I suggest you start writing things down. He walked away without looking back. On the medical station orbiting Dreth Prime, Dr. Jinyu was finishing his last surgery. The patient was an admiral's son, a young Dreth who had been injured in a training accident. Jin had worked for 16 hours straight to save his life. When the surgery was done, a Dreth official approached him. Doctor, we have heard the news. You are leaving. Jin pulled off his gloves. Yes, but who will train our surgeons? Who will update our medical protocols? Jin looked at the official. He remembered all the times he had been called the human butcher behind his back. He remembered being denied access to research facilities because of his species. He remembered eating alone in empty rooms because no one would sit with him. You have many talented doctors, Jin said. I am sure you will be fine. He picked up his bag and walked to the transport ship. 6 months later, the last human ship crossed out of Council space. Billions of human soldiers, scientists, engineers, teachers, doctors, builders all gone. 300 years of service, erased in half a year, the Galactic Council declared a holiday. They called it the Cleansing. There were parades on 100 worlds, speeches about purity and strength, songs about the dawn of a new age without the primitive humans. Prime Orin gave the biggest speech of all. Today, we are free, he shouted to the cheering crowds. The humans held us back with their crude methods and simple minds. Now, we will reach heights they could never imagine. The crowd roared with joy, far away, on a small blue planet called Earth. Unipark watched the celebration through a telescope feed. Tay stood beside her, along with Sora, Wu, and a combat specialist named Daicho. They are very happy, Sora observed. They will not be happy for long, Yuna said quietly. Tay crossed his arms. How long do you think it will take? Yuna turned off the screen. Less than a year. Probably less than 6 months. Tay cracked his knuckles. And then what? Yuna looked at her team, her family, and for the first time in years, she allowed herself to smile. And then she said, they will learn. 8 months after the humans left, the Mora Trade Consortium crashed. Nobody saw it coming. One day, the interstellar economy was working fine. The next day, it was eating itself alive. Prices went crazy. A loaf of bread cost the same as a starship. A starship cost the same as a planet. Money lost all meaning. Banks closed. Businesses died. Riots broke out on trading worlds across the galaxy. Prime Orin called an emergency meeting. What happened? He demanded. Who is responsible for this disaster? The financial experts looked at each other with fear in their eyes. Finally, one of them spoke. Prime Orin, the trading algorithm has failed. The system that balances all currency exchange, that prevents inflation, that keeps prices stable, it is broken. Then fix it. We cannot, sir. We do not understand how it works. Orin slammed his fist on the table. You do not understand? You have been running this system for 200 years. The expert swallowed hard. No, sir. We have been using this system for 200 years. A human designed it. A human named Bin Kong. He maintained it. He updated it. He fixed every problem. We just watched. The room went very quiet. On the fortress world of Keth Prime, General Voss of the Valari Defense Force was having his own problems. The planetary shield, the great barrier that protected the world from any attack, was failing. Holes appeared in the energy field. Small at first, then larger. Soon, there were gaps big enough for enemy ships to fly through. Get the engineers, Voss shouted. Fix this immediately. The engineers came. They looked at the code. They looked at each other. Then they looked at the floor. General, the lead engineer said. The shield system is very complex. There are millions of lines of code. We do not know what most of it does. You built this system. No, General. We did not. A human security officer built most of it. Her name was Hannah Shin. She spent 10 years finding weak spots and fixing them. When she asked us to learn the system, we told her we were too busy. We told her human work was not worth studying. Voss felt his blood turn cold. Where is this human now? On Earth, General, with all the others. 3 systems away, the blue rot was spreading. It was a terrible disease that turned living flesh into blue slime. It moved fast. It killed faster. In 2 weeks, it had infected 17 systems. Millions were sick. Thousands were already dead. Admiral Lythe watched the death count rise on her screen. Where did this plague come from? She demanded. Her medical officer, a thin dreth with tired eyes, answered, It was always here, Admiral. It lives in the water supplies of many worlds. But it was never a threat before. Why not? Because of the quarantine protocols. Every ship, every station, every city had strict rules about water filtration and disease screening. A human doctor named Jin, you created these rules. He was very careful. Some called him paranoid. They laughed at him. And now the protocols have broken down. No one maintained them after the humans left. No one thought they were important. Lythe closed her eyes. She remembered Jinyu. She remembered calling him the human butcher at a dinner party while he sat 3 tables away, pretending not to hear. She remembered the way he had kept working anyway, saving lives with steady hands and a quiet heart. She opened her eyes. Find a cure. We are trying, Admiral. But Doctor, you took all his research with him. We are starting from nothing. The emergency meeting of the Galactic Council lasted 3 days. Every species had the same story. Systems were failing. Infrastructure was collapsing. Problems that had been invisible were now impossible to ignore. The humans had not been servants. They had been foundations. And now the foundation was gone, and everything built on top of it was falling down. Prime Orin stood before the council. His 4 mouths were not smiling anymore. These are temporary problems, he insisted. We will adapt. We will learn. The humans were helpful, yes, but they were not essential. We survived before them. We will survive after them. Admiral Lythe was not convinced. And what about the Nebula Rim monitoring stations? The ones that watch for threats from deep space? Orin waved a hand. What about them? They went offline 2 weeks ago. Human engineers maintained them. Without maintenance, they stopped working. So we are blind to threats from the Outer Rim. So what? There have been no threats from that region in 300 years. Lythe leaned forward. And why do you think that is, Prime Orin? Did you ever wonder why in 3 centuries nothing dangerous came from the deep void? Orin had no answer. The answer came 3 days later. A cargo ship was passing through the outer territories when its sensors detected something strange. A shadow. A shape in the darkness. Then another. Then 100. Then 1,000. The captain sent one final message before his ship went silent forever. Void Swarm. The Void Swarm is here. They are everywhere. Gods help us all. The message reached the council within hours. The great chamber erupted in chaos, screaming, crying, praying to gods who did not answer. The Void Swarm, the ancient enemy, the Devourers. They had destroyed 1,000 civilizations before the council was born. They had been gone for 3 centuries, driven away by some unknown force, and everyone had assumed they were dead. They were not dead. They had been waiting. Prime Orin looked at the holographic map showing thousands of swarm ships pouring into council space. His 4 mouths opened and closed, but no words came out. Admiral Lythe grabbed his arm. Orin, we need help. We need the humans. The humans. Orin's voice was barely a whisper. After everything we said, after everything we did, why would they help us? Lythe did not have an answer. Far away on Earth, Unipark watched the same data on her own screens. Tay stood beside her, his face hard as stone. The swarm is moving fast, he said. At this rate, they will reach the inner council worlds in 18 months. Una nodded slowly. I know. The council cannot stop them. Their fleets are weak. Their defenses are failing. They will be destroyed, I know. Tay looked at her. What do we do? Una was quiet for a long moment. She thought about 300 years of insults. 300 years of pain. 300 years of being treated like less than nothing. Then she thought about the children on those alien worlds. The innocent ones who had never hurt anyone. The ones who would die screaming if no one helped them. She took a deep breath. Get me Admiral Mina Cho, she said, and prepare the fleet. Keth Morrow was a historian. She was Valerie, with 4 eyes and 4 mouths like all her people. But she was different from most. She asked questions. She looked for truth. And right now, she was looking for answers. The council archives were deep beneath the capital city, in rooms that had not been opened for centuries. Dust covered everything. The air was stale and cold. But Keth did not care about comfort. She cared about understanding. Why had the humans been so important? How had they become part of everything without anyone noticing? These questions kept her awake at night. So she came to the archives to find the truth. She found it. And the truth was worse than anything she had imagined. The first document was dated 312 years ago. It was a distress signal from the Galactic Council to anyone who could hear. This is Prime Elder Voth of the Galactic Council. We are dying. The Void Swarm has consumed 70% of Council space. Our fleets are destroyed. Our armies are broken. We have days, perhaps hours, before complete extinction. If anyone can hear this message, please help us. We will give you anything, everything. Just save our people. Keth read the message 3 times. Her hearts were beating fast. She had never heard of Prime Elder Voth. She had never read about the Void Swarm in any history book. According to official records, the Council had always been strong. There had never been any great threat, but this document said otherwise. She kept reading. The next document was a response to the distress signal. It came from a small blue planet on the edge of known space. The planet was called Earth. This is General Sung Park of the United Earth Fleet. We received your message. We are coming. Hold on, Keth. Found more documents. Battle reports. Fleet movements. Casualty lists. The story they told was incredible. The humans had come like fire across the stars. Their ships were small but fast. Their weapons were crude but effective. And their soldiers were something the Void Swarm had never faced before. One report described a human captain named Duri, who flew his damaged ship directly into a swarm command vessel, destroying them both. He had recorded a final message to his crew: "Get our people out. I will buy you time." Another report told of a human doctor named Yoon, who stayed on a dying station to treat wounded aliens. Even as the swarm broke through the walls, she saved 200 lives before she fell. There were thousands of stories like this. Humans dying to protect species they had never met. Humans fighting battles they could not win. Humans giving everything they had. General Sung Park led the final assault on the swarm's main fleet. The battle lasted 9 days. Half the human fleet was destroyed. But when it was over, the swarm was broken. The survivors fled into the deep void. The galaxy was saved. Keth found a recording of the victory celebration. General Park stood before the council, his uniform torn and burned, his face covered in blood and dirt. Prime Elder Voth was crying with joy. General Park Voth said, "You have saved us all. We owe you a debt that can never be repaid. Ask for anything. We will give it gladly." Park smiled. It was a tired smile, the smile of a man who had lost too many friends. "I do not want payment," he said. "I want partnership. Let our people work together. Let us build something better than what came before." Voth agreed. The council agreed. Humans were welcomed as heroes. Statues were built. Songs were sung. The future looked bright, but Keth knew the future. She had lived it. And the future was nothing like this. She found the documents that explained everything, 50 years after the war. A new generation of aliens had grown up. They had not seen the war. They had not watched their worlds burn. They only knew that strange creatures called humans lived among them, creatures who were too emotional, too loud, too different. Some began to resent the humans. Others began to fear them. If humans could defeat the Void Swarm, what else could they do? Were they dangerous? Were they a threat? The council held secret meetings. They decided that the truth was too uncomfortable. The story of human heroism made the council look weak. So they changed the story. Old records were destroyed. New records were written. The Void Swarm became a minor threat, easily defeated by council forces. The humans became late arrivals who helped a little bit with cleanup work. Statues were torn down. Songs were forgotten. Children grew up learning that humans were primitive, useful as workers, but nothing special. The humans knew what was happening. Of course they knew, but they did not fight back. They did not demand recognition. They simply kept working, kept building, kept protecting. They believed that one day the truth would matter again. Keth found the final document in the archive. It was a letter from Ambassador Una Park, left on the day the humans departed. To whoever finds this, the letter began. I hope you are reading these words because you wanted the truth. I hope you are ready to face what our peoples have done. 300 years ago, human generals saved your civilization from extinction. He asked for nothing but friendship. Instead, his descendants were treated as less than animals. We were mocked, insulted, attacked, and erased from your history. We stayed anyway. We protected you anyway. Not because we are fools, but because we believed that people can change. We believed that one day, someone would open these archives and learn the truth. If you are that someone, then you have a choice. You can bury these documents and pretend nothing happened. Or you can share them with your people and begin to make things right. We hoped you would remember. We hoped you would change, but some lessons can only be learned through loss. When you are ready to be partners instead of masters, you know where to find us. The Void Swarm is not gone. They are waiting in the deep void, rebuilding, preparing. When they return, you will need us again. The only question is whether you will accept our help with open hearts, or with the same arrogance that has poisoned our relationship for so long. Choose wisely, Una. Park Ambassador of the Human Federation. Keth sat in the dark archive for a long time. Tears ran down her face. She thought about every insult she had ever heard thrown at humans. She thought about every joke, every sneer, every cruel word. She thought about the human workers who had fixed her childhood home after a storm. They had worked for 3 days without sleep. Her father had not even thanked them. She thought about her teacher, a human woman named Bora who had taught her to love history. When Bora retired, no one had come to her farewell party. Keth had been too. It's embarrassed to go alone. She thought about all the humans who had served and sacrificed and received nothing but contempt in return. The Void Swarm was coming. The council was falling apart. And somewhere on a small blue planet, the people who had saved everyone once were waiting to see if they would be asked to do it. Again, Keth gathered the documents carefully. She copied everything onto a data crystal. Then she walked out of the archive and into the light. Prime Orin needed to see this. Everyone needed to see this. The council ship was the fastest in the fleet. It crossed the empty space between council territory and Earth in just 3 weeks. Inside, Prime Orin sat with Admiral Lythe and 6 other delegates. None of them spoke. None of them knew what to say. Keth Morrow had shown them the documents. The truth. The real history that had been buried for 3 centuries. Some had cried. Some had raged. Prime Orin had simply sat in silence, his 4 mouths hanging open in shock. Now they were flying to Earth to beg for help from the people they had wronged so badly. What will we say to them? Asked Delegate Thess of the Mora Consortium. How can we possibly apologize for what we did? Lythe shook her massive head. We tell them the truth. We tell them we were wrong. We tell them we need them. And if they say no, no one answered. If the humans said no, then the galaxy would burn. It was that simple. The ship entered Earth's solar system, and the delegates got their first shock. Defense platforms surrounded the sun like rings of steel. Hundreds of warships patrolled the void. Stations the size of moons hung in orbit around every planet. This was not the primitive homeworld they had expected. This was a fortress. It's impossible, Orin whispered. How did they build all of this? Lythe was studying the tactical displays. They had 300 years, Orin. 300 years of our mockery, our refusal to share technology, our insults. In all that time, they were building. They were preparing. Preparing for what? For this? For the day when we would come crawling back. The council ship was escorted by human fighters to a massive station orbiting Earth. The sign at the entrance read, New Soul. Station Welcome to Humanity, Admiral Mina. Cho was waiting for them in the main hall. She was tall and strong, with iron-gray hair and eyes that had seen too much. Behind her stood a row of human officers in crisp uniforms. The council delegates walked toward her slowly, like criminals approaching a judge. Prime Orin was in front, his 18 legs trembling with every step. Mina did not smile. She did not bow. She simply watched them come, her face as cold as the void. Ambassador Park wanted to meet you herself, Mina said. But she is busy coordinating the defense of the Outer Rim. So you get me instead, Admiral Cho, Orin began. We have come too. I know why you came. Mina cut him off with a wave of her hand. You came because you are dying. You came because the swarm is eating your worlds, and you cannot stop them. You came because everything is falling apart, and you finally realized that the people you called animals were the only ones holding it together. Orin lowered his head. Yes. Do you know what my brother told me before he left for council space? Mina continued. Her voice was steady, but something burned behind her eyes. He told me that he believed in the council. He believed that if humans worked hard enough, if we proved ourselves enough, we would earn respect. He spent 20 years trying to earn that respect. She paused. Do you know what he earned instead? He earned a room by himself because no one would share quarters with a human. He earned meals alone because no one would sit with him. He earned whispers behind his back about the smell of primitive creatures. Orin felt shame burning through his body. Admiral, my grandmother was a doctor, Mina continued, ignoring him. She saved 10,000 lives on Station Keth. When she died, no one came to her memorial. Not one alien. Not one. She stepped closer to the delegates, and even Admiral Lythe took a step back. My great-great-grandfather was General Seung Park. He gave everything to save your people, and you erased him from history. You tore down his statues. You banned his name from your schools. You turned him into nothing. The delegates stood in shameful silence. There was nothing they could say. Every word she spoke was true. Then something strange happened. Mina's expression softened, just a little. But you know what else? She said quietly. My brother never stopped working. My grandmother never stopped healing. General Park never stopped hoping. Do you know why? The delegates shook their heads, because that is what humans do. We do not help people because they deserve it. We help people because we are able to. We protect the weak because we are strong. We show mercy because we know what it feels like to receive none. She turned and gestured to a holographic display. The image showed council space, covered in red dots, representing swarm attacks. But there were also blue dots human ships, fighting battles across a dozen systems. You thought we left you, Mina said. You thought we abandoned you to the swarm, but we have been fighting for you since the day they arrived. Our ships, our soldiers, our blood. We never stopped protecting you, even when you did not deserve it. Admiral Lythe stared at the display. You were already fighting? Without being asked? We do not wait to be asked, Mina replied. That is another thing humans do. Prime Orin fell to his knees. His 18 legs folded beneath him, and his 4 mouths spoke as one. Forgive us, please. We were blind. We were cruel. We were everything that is wrong with the galaxy. But we see now. We understand. Please, help us. Mina looked down at him for a long moment. Then she reached out and took his hand, pulling him to his feet. We will help you, she said. We were always going to help you. But this time, things will be different. Anything, Orin said. We agree to anything, good. Mina's voice turned hard again. First, the truth will be restored. Every document, every record, every story, it all goes back. Our children will learn real history, not the lies you created. Agreed. Second, humans will not serve under alien commanders. We will fight beside you, not beneath you. Our fleet will lead the assault on the swarm. Agreed. Third, when this is over, we will not go back to the way things were. We will build something new. Equals partners. No more masters and servants. Prime Orin bowed his head. Agreed. 1,000 times. Agreed. Mina nodded slowly. Then she turned to the officers behind her. Get me Fleet Commander Tae Kim. Tell him the council has agreed to our terms. A young officer stepped forward, Daecho, Mina's brother. His face was serious, but his eyes were shining. It's already done, Admiral. Commander Kim is mobilizing the fleet. We move out in 6 hours. Mina smiled for the first time. It was a small smile, but it was real. Then let us go save the galaxy again. The war against the Void Swarm lasted 2 years. It was the bloodiest conflict the galaxy had ever seen. Billions died. Hundreds of worlds burned. The darkness came closer to victory than anyone wanted to admit, but it did not win. Fleet. Commander Tae Kim led the human forces with brilliant strategy and unbreakable courage. His ship, the Horizon's Edge, became famous across the galaxy, a symbol of hope in the darkest times. At the Battle of Novagate, Tae faced a swarm fleet 3 times the size of his own. He should have retreated. Any sensible commander would have retreated. Instead, he ordered his ships forward. Today we show them what humans are made of, he said over the fleet channel. Not for medals, not for glory, for the children hiding on the worlds behind us, for the mothers praying for their sons to come home, for everyone who ever looked at the stars and hoped for tomorrow. Today, we fight. The battle lasted 9 hours. When it was over, the swarm fleet was destroyed. The human fleet had lost half its ships, but they had won. Admiral Lythe had fought beside Tae that day. When the battle ended, she came to his bridge and bowed before him, something she had never done for anyone. Commander Kim, she said, I have served in the military for 100 years. I've never seen courage like yours. Tae helped her stand. We were not just brave, Admiral. We were fighting for something worth dying for. And what is that? Tae looked out at the stars. A galaxy where my children will never be called animals. A galaxy where your children will never forget who helped them survive. A future worth living in. Lythe felt something she had not felt in centuries: shame for what her people had done, and hope for what they could become. The final battle came at the swarm's home base, deep in the void between galaxies. The combined fleet of humans and council species gathered for the assault. It was the largest fleet ever assembled. 10,000 ships from every corner of civilized space, but Tae did not lead an attack. Instead, he did something that no one expected. He talked. The swarm was not mindless. Tae had suspected this for months. Their attacks were too organized, too strategic. There was intelligence behind them. So before the final battle, he sent a message. I'm Fleet Commander Tae Kim of the Human Federation. I want to speak with whoever leads you. The fleet waited for 3 days. Then an answer came. The Swarm Queen was ancient, older than the galaxy itself. She spoke through a communication device that hurt Tae's ears, but he listened anyway. Why do you talk to us, human? All others attack. All others fear. Because I want to understand, Tae replied. Why do you consume worlds? Why do you destroy everything in your path? We are dying, the Queen said. Our dimension is collapsing. We have nowhere else to go. We consume because we must survive. There is no other choice. Tae was quiet for a long moment. He thought about the Council, who had feared humans so much that they erased them from history. He thought about how fear led to hatred, and hatred led to destruction. What if there was another choice? What if we gave you worlds to settle empty worlds, uninhabited worlds where your people could live without fighting? The fleet commanders behind him erupted in protest. Give worlds to the enemy. Negotiate with the monsters who had killed billions? But Tae held up his hand for silence. I have learned something in my years among the stars, he said. Enemies are often just people we do not understand. If we destroy the swarm, we become destroyers ourselves. If we show them mercy, we become something better. The Queen was silent for a long time. Then she spoke again. You're a strange human. Different from the others. You offer peace when you could offer death. Peace is always harder, Tae said, but it is always better. The war ended not with fire, but with words. The swarm received 17 uninhabited systems on the edge of the galaxy, enough room to rebuild their civilization without threatening anyone. In exchange, they agreed to never attack again. Some called Tae a fool, Some called him a traitor, but most called him a hero. 1 year later, the Galactic Council gathered in its rebuilt Grand Chamber. The seats had been rearranged. Humans no longer sat at the far end in the smallest chairs. Instead, they sat at the center, surrounded by equals. Ambassador Una Parks stood before the assembly. She looked older than she had 3 years ago, tired, but her eyes were clear and her voice was strong. 300 years ago, my ancestor helped save this galaxy. He asked for nothing but friendship. Instead, his people were forgotten, erased, and insulted for generations. She paused, looking at each delegation in turn. We could have let you fall. When the swarm came, we could have watched from our safe worlds and done nothing. Many of my people wanted exactly that. After everything you did to us, you did not deserve our help. The chamber was silent. No one argued. But we helped you anyway. Not because you deserved it, but because we believe in something greater than revenge. We believe that people can change. We believe that tomorrow can be better than yesterday. We believe that mercy is stronger than hate. She reached out her hands to Prime Orin on her left and Admiral Lythe on her right. Today we begin again. Not as masters and servants, not as superiors and inferiors, but as partners, building something better than what came before. I cannot promise that we will never make mistakes, but I can promise that we will face those mistakes together, with honesty and humility and hope. Prime Orin took her hand. Tears streamed from his 4 eyes. The Valari will never forget again. We swear it. Admiral Lythe took her other hand. The Dreth Collective stands with humanity, now and always. One by one, every delegation joined the circle. Hands clasped hands. Claws clasped claws. Tentacles wrapped around fingers. For the first time in history, the Galactic Council was truly united. On the observation deck above, Takim watched with Sora, Wu, and Day. Below them, the delegates stood together in a circle of hope that would have seemed impossible just 3 years ago. Think it will last? Sora asked. Tay watched Una smile a real smile, the first truly happy smile he had seen from her in years. The Valari delegation was bowing low in genuine respect. The Dreth were actually laughing, sharing jokes with human officers. Maybe not forever, Tay admitted. People are people, no matter what species they are. They will make mistakes. They will hurt each other. They will forget old promises. He put his arm around Sora's shoulders. But humans have always been good at one thing. What is that? Giving people second chances. And third chances. And fourth chances. As many as it takes. Sora smiled and leaned into him. That sounds exhausting, Tay laughed. It was the first time he had laughed in a long time. But it is also worth it. Below them, the galaxy began to heal. The wounds were deep, and the scars would last for generations. But for the first time in 300 years, there was real hope. Not hope that the aliens would become perfect. Not hope that humans would be treated like gods. Just hope that tomorrow would be a little better than today. That people of all species would work together to make it so. It was not a perfect ending, but it was a good one. And for now, that was enough.